Billy here. Recording from Moscow, Arabat region or district. Not far from my humble hostel. I hope I didn't make anybody dizzy. Got some building news. Be out of here Saturday night, real late, almost Sunday morning actually. Got all my tickets. I went ahead and bought the final ones. They got an exchange set up where if they screw me up and I get there late and miss the next flight, well, it cost me a couple $100 and not the whole shebang. But I got plenty of time and there shouldn't be anything going wrong. Going from Moscow to Tashkent, and then from Tashkent to Istanbul, and then well, I got about, what is it? I get to Istanbul like noonish and I take off 6 o'clock the next morning, so that's not bad. Just gonna stay at the hotel. Excuse me, the airport hotel. Yeah, there's hostels cheap in Turkey, but I forgot you gotta buy a visa to leave the airport. And it used to be like $40, which is ridiculous. I think now you get it ahead of time online, it's 60, and if you get it at the airport, it's like 100. That blows the whole deal. I'm gonna camp out in the airport like I usually do. Afternoon, evening, all night, take off at 6. That's not bad. I've been to Istanbul, Ataturk Airport a lot. Not recently. They got pods there I saw on the internets. They're kind of pricey though, but it's nice to have some place, even if you want to plunk down 10 or 12 bucks just to get a little privacy and really zonk out where nobody bothers you for a couple hours. It's not bad. They're always pricey. You know, it's pretty amazing the difference in airports. Some of them seem to actually made for the comfort of regular ordinary travelers. Amsterdam's not bad. Frankfurt's pretty solid. It's almost like it's made for people like me. You could buy a toothbrush and a little shaving kit there that you could take on the plane. A lot of these airports, you can't get that stuff anywhere. You think that'd be something that they would, people would want. People are hopping around, getting stranded at airports, waiting for flights, need to freshen up a little bit. You should buy some little kit, scrape your face, do some breath mints, put a little DO over the BO on there and make yourself a little better. Oh no, you can't even get that stuff most places. Oh, they want to sell you like at Dubai. That's a good example. In Dubai, last time I was there, you can't buy anything like that. You can't buy a friggin' toothbrush or a little tube of paste. Nothing. You can buy a Rolex or a $20,000 mink coat, or you can order a new Bentley or a Maybach. They got Maybach dealerships in the airport, trying to cater to them sheiks and stuff. Little ordinary travelers, of which there are a lot going through there, poor people going on Hajj and stuff, they don't have anything for them. Screw you. Sleep on the floor till the cops come and roust you. It's all geared for people with way too much money. Don't have anything against them. I've had rich friends, got along great with them, but they're not the kind of ass clown that would impulse buy a Maybach at the airport. Holy crap. They cater to these people. Impulse buy a Rolex because I'm not uncomfortable with my success. God. Yeah, the dynamics of the airports and the different cultures they have at them are pretty interesting to behold. I'll be going through Frankfurt. I like it. It's hard to get around though. I had a flight laying there, and I think it was like they have ramps that go up to the hundreds. I landed on like 101Z, and I'm taking off from, 98A. I ran. I mean, I had 45 minutes, and I ran, and I was completely out of breath. I ran for almost the full 45 minutes it took to get to my other flight. It's huge. It's unbelievably huge. Hopefully that won't happen this time. I have 2.5 hours this time. Oh, and I got to the door of the plane and they stopped me because security just had to insist on sniffing my stuff. They sniffed it. Well, they had a little mechanical device to sniff all my stuff to make sure I wasn't making explosives. I just got off of a plane. Yeah. I think they held the plane for me because they were shutting the door when I got there, and they stopped me and wouldn't let me on because they had to sniff stuff. That was a long time ago. Would it be nice just to go where you want to go, uninhibited, unimpeded? We could if it wasn't for intelligence agencies pulling all these terrorist acts off and cultivating these groups to do it for geopolitical purposes. That's where it all comes from. It always has. 40 years ago, people want whatever they wanted. You just go get on the plane and fly there. Wouldn't that be nice? Do you think it'll ever happen again? I think it will. It's a lot of good news, a lot of good stuff happening. There is resistance to this stuff, and it's winning. We're winning. It's a pretty good thing. Some people are afraid. You got your black pill people that say, the evil is just monolithic and all powerful and controls everything. Come on. There's divisions and splinter groups even in their outfits. Mold is mold. You got 1,000 spores and they're all different. They don't necessarily love each other, but they all produce corruption, and it turns the bread green. They can be divided, broken up, turned against each other. They do it quite naturally, actually. Again, I reference the books of Enoch. The offspring of the rebellious watchers. They were so malicious and so nasty and so sadistic, they couldn't even get along with each other, so they formed clans and had civil wars and pretty much solved their own problem. They exterminated each other pretty much. The remainder founded nations and corrupted the rest of the earth, and there had to be a flood. It always gets dealt with. Some people I've heard mention, some pretty smart people too, well, if we could just get through this without nuclear war. Don't worry, you will. How do I know this? I've done a lot of research on this subject. I don't talk about it a lot because people think you're batshit freaking crazy and you tell them what you find. Oh, you found some tinfoil hats on the internet to tell you crazy stuff, right? No, physicists, people that were actually in the nuclear program. Some of the foremost atomic engineers and weapons programs engineers have written things about it that point out little things that are not what you're being told, and plus common sense. Just a rudimentary understanding of physics tells you there's something sketchy about all that. And Then you get to the motives and the forensically looking at what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They aren't what they say they are. They have the big scare thing. Oh, they can destroy the entire planet in 10 minutes. No, they can't. You've seen the pictures of Hiroshima. They showed us the pictures of that in school, and they had this one building, a ground zero, where the big shrine is, and it's still standing. Matter of fact, it looks like it's just went through a fire or something, because it's I think it's either a stone or a concrete building or a combination. It's probably stone. It's got a dome on top with the skeleton of the dome still up there. I guess it's an iron frame dome. So the building's probably early to mid 19th century, I guess. I'm guessing. I'm just going from memory. I saw the building and I read a lot of stuff about it. One thing they didn't tell us in school about that, though, they just referred to it as some sort of temple. It was a Catholic church. Yeah, that building at Ground Zero, that was a Catholic church. They had Catholics in Japan. They weren't all emperor worshippers. But, you know, they didn't want you to know that even after the war. But they say that building is intact because it's directly under the bomb. And they told us that it was suspended with a parachute, and it was still like a mile up when it went off. So there's no shockwave going down? Why wouldn't there be? Doesn't make any sense. It's like a shaped charge. How does that work? It's dangling from a parachute. Oh, I don't know. I suppose they knew what they were doing. But then when you zoom back and you look at the big photo of the whole city after the bomb, yeah, it's pretty devastating. There's lots of buildings, though. There's lots of buildings scattered around. And they're pretty much undamaged. Well, it's just the randomness, you see. Everything's supposed to be liquefied and concrete turned into vapor, and people's photographs were etched onto the road and the bridges and the concrete. And everything was vaporized. Doesn't look like it to me. It looks like there's a big old fire. Especially you look at before and after pictures. You look at pictures taken before that happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you'll notice something. All those buildings that are still standing, they were banks and government buildings. They were concrete and or stone buildings, and they were the only ones in the area. All the rest of the city was built out of bamboo, thin hardwood, and paper. The Japanese built their houses in cities very, very efficiently. They used hardwood, very minimally, carefully joined, and a minimal skeleton to support the building. And they put bamboo roofing tiles and bamboo paper and paper walls. Yeah, it's a pretty mild climate. Hardwood floors. It's all wood and bamboo. All the buildings that are gone were burnable. And there was one dead giveaway. General order number 1 on the occupation was, and you can look this up, guess what? If anybody says there was more than one plane and one bomb, immediate execution. Why would they do that? It's almost like they're covering something up, right? It's a lot of really smart people, heavily degreed people, physicists and historians that say there were thousands of planes and each plane had thousands of incendiary bombs, just like they did Dresden. Look at pictures of Dresden. It was all concrete and rock. Imagine what it would do to a city made primarily of bamboo and paper. All the concrete and rock buildings are still standing, and the trees bloom the next year. The little skinny tree next to that Catholic church, yeah, it was blooming the next year. It's still there, I think. It's a lot bigger now. Now, what about all these people that died of radiation poisoning and all that? You know, who was running the hospitals? Not only that, firestorms that burn a whole city, there's radiation there. If you happen to have a Geiger counter, go check out your campfire when you get done with it. And radiation's always at the end of a fire. Fires put off radiation. Radiation stays in the ashes. The more the merrier. Big fire like a whole city going down, like Dresden or Hiroshima or Nagasaki. But you can see the explosions and the tests in the Bikini Islands and in New Mexico and all that. Yeah. Look at those very carefully. I am no nuclear physicist, but that's a chemical explosion you're looking at. What's the big fireball? Huge ball of orange fire. What's burning? Well, the atmosphere. Yeah, right. What's burning? What's making an orange flame? Sand? The few little buildings that they have there, they make that much orange flame, that much orange fireball instantly. That's a chemical explosion you're watching. They say it's the equivalent of what, so many 100,000 pounds of TNT or whatever. No, 100. I don't remember, it's 100,000s. 10 tons, 10,000 tons of TNT, something like that. Let's just say it's a million tons. That's a lot of TNT. You think they couldn't manufacture that toward the end of World War II? They were making TNT everywhere. They were making all kinds of high explosives that you don't even know how much they made. It's top secret. They made a lot of explosives, and they probably wanted to see what would happen if you fill a whole warehouse full of them and set it off. That's what they did. It's a chemical explosion. It's all smoke and mirrors. Awful lot of history is deception. An awful lot of warfare is deception. Japan was about to surrender to Russia anyway. Russia had already kicked their asses. It was over for Japan. We were told in school, what? Well, we had to save American lives by bombing the Japanese cities. Because we didn't want to have to fight island to island. Because they were all emperor worshippers, except the Catholics. But they were all emperor worshippers, and they fight to the death. So, yeah, we spared them. And we spared our boys, right? By dropping the nuclear bombs. All that's untrue. Russia was ready to get them to surrender. They'd lost the war. It was over. They didn't want to surrender to the Soviet Union. U.S. gave them an option. We'll let the emperor save face. We have a super weapon, the one bomb that could wipe out the whole city. So the emperor won't have any choice. And he gets to stay emperor too. I don't think the Soviets would have allowed that. So it was coordinated deception. The space program, the nuclear program, the competition in these things with Russia, and Russia stole the secrets or got them leaked to them or given to them by the Eskimos. Anyway, they wanted that technology too, to deceive people. Save money on the military by having these fake things. You notice the Russian nuclear tests, totally different looking than the American ones. They had black smoke rolling out of theirs. I guess they made dirtier chemical explosives. They weren't that good at manufacturing TNT, I guess. Black smoke rolling. There's a lot of books you can read and websites that you can find. I might dig up some of them and see how many of them are still out there. I did research on this years ago. Back then, you could find the stuff fairly easy. I'll take a look. If I find some of them, I'll put some links in the description. They might be a little harder to find, but if you care, you can find them as easily as I can. A lot of it I was really after, even back then, was under, these university peer-reviewed papers and stuff that you have to pay a lot to look at. But they're out there. I found excerpts from some of them that had the stuff I needed to see. There's a lot of physicists that say, they'll tell you that a nuclear bomb, even if it is possible theoretically, wouldn't look like that. It would be a perfect explosion. It wouldn't have a fireball. It wouldn't have this big cloud coming up out of it. Those are chemical explosions. A nuclear bomb would be like poof. That's it. X-rays thrown off of it for an instant. That's it. So I've created perfect explosions myself using fuel air bombs, homemade, just for research and amusement. 4th of July kind of stuff. Oxygen and acetylene mixed in a perfectly neutral flame. Then you snuff it and you put that gas mixture in like a 5-gallon bucket. Set it off. There's no fireball. It's a hell of an explosion too. Even in a paper cup, it's like a 10-gauge shotgun. Imagine what a 5-gallon bucket is. Yeah, we set one off on the 4th of July once back behind the shop. Some people I was working with, just for funsies. Neighbors a mile away were calling on the phone asking what happened, because it was easily a case of dynamite equivalent. It's pretty impressive. You have the perfect air fuel mixture like in a thermobaric weapon. That's how they work. There's no fireball, there's no flash. It sets everything on fire, but a vacuum bomb, as they call them. Yeah, what those tests were, what you're looking at that scares everybody, was a big, gigantic chemical explosion. Hundreds of truckloads, big truckloads of explosives put in one pile and set off. That's what you're looking at. So, who wants to be afraid of nuclear weapons? I don't think they have them. They have some pretty serious weapons without nukes. But you're not going to hear that. People are going to shut you up. People are going to say you're crazy, because there's a lot of people with interest in this. A lot of anti-war activists are really, really into that nuclear weapon thing. I'm very reasonable people, very good people. But they're never going to turn loose of that, because it's this big club that you can always pull out and beat people with. We're going to destroy the planet with nuclear weapons, and they use that stuff, and they use fear to manipulate people. It brings in the money. It makes loyal followers. There's a lot of people that use it that should be on the other side. Even truthers, they're not going to turn that one loose. Not if they're in an organization that profits from it. My God, I know that patch. I used to be affiliated with people in the States. One of them just went by wearing a patch biker outfit. Interesting. It looked like it from here. I'm a good 50 yards away from the road, so maybe it just looked like it. Anyway, got distracted there. Well, if you never heard of any of this stuff and never entertained the possibility that we've been hornswoggled as far as your nuclear weapons are concerned, well, maybe you might want to look into this. Maybe it might bring a little enlightenment, a little comfort, maybe some thought experiments, or maybe you're vehemently opposed to the concept. I don't know. Just something I'm putting out there. That's what Uncle Billy do. Horrible, horrible heretic. But I'm only interested in truth. We need to examine these things. You think they wouldn't lie to us? You think they're not? Well, thousands of people would have to be in on the conspiracy. That's the lamest excuse ever. It's easy to get thousands of people on the same conspiracy, and they don't even know what they're doing because they're compartmentalized. They only know one little aspect of it. I was going to write a book about that, or make a little short story about it. You could have a genocide where everybody that's involved thinks they're helping people. You could move construction workers into a site and have them dig a big hole, and you tell them they're building this big machine for disposing of cattle in case there's a cattle pandemic. You got to get rid of millions of carcasses. And you build this machine, this big tub grinder that's just indestructible, and it's got an automatic washing system and everything. Then you get rid of those guys, seal it off, don't tell anybody about it, it's all top secret. They do stuff like that. I've worked in secure areas on construction sites where they built, experimental, they were supposed to be ammunition bunkers. I don't really think that's what they were, but nobody questioned it. We made money, we got on the site, we did our little narrow category of thing, and we went on, just like everybody else. We don't know what we were building. Years later, you could put a clinic on top of this place that I just talked about with a special machine that'll cure you. Bunch of nice little nurses to comfort the people, the elderly and the sick and the infirm and the defective. Yeah, you know where this is going. And all little Buffy's job, little Mariana from Sunnybrook Farms, her only job is to comfort these people and get them to put all their possessions in the basket that goes to the storage facility. Put them in their paper gown and lay them out on the stainless table and get them to relax and follow instructions, and then somebody else will come and process you after the machine's done, and then she leaves, and she does that all day, and she thinks she's really good in helping people. Nobody else comes and gets them. They go in the machine and it dumps them in the tub grinder. Yeah, that's doable. It's very doable. They don't have to do that though. They got a lot better technology for that. But you know, you can have thousands of people in an industry that don't have any idea what the industry is really doing. They're all doing their part. That's the way modern society works. And it's something that I don't see examined a whole lot. There's probably been books written about it, I'm sure there has, but I don't have much time to read anymore. Maybe I will in the future. Well, I'll finish this way. Oh, I will put a link to this in the news. Yeah, they've got all kinds of eyewitness accounts and evidence. Just the plane tickets, the hotel bills of certain people brought together at certain times in Ukraine. Cameramen, news reporters, aid workers. They're going into a village and they would announce that they're giving aid to people, humanitarian aid, and they get all the Ukrainians to show up at one place, and then the cameramen all run off in different directions and set their cameras off on the perimeter, and then they get a missile strike right in the area where the people are waiting. And they do it repeatedly in the same village. And then of course they put it on the news and say Russia's bombing civilians. They caught them red-handed doing this stuff. How much is it going to take? The media is complicit in genocide and crimes against humanity. Your mainstream Western media is in on this. Now, a lot of you is going to want to, not my subscribers, but a lot of normies would want to fight me just on that. You just keep on believing them bastards. All I can do is show you what real journalists have done in exposing it. This goes way back. This goes way back to the war in Bosnia, Serbia. Mainstream journalists were doing their things then, setting things up to fool everybody for geopolitical reasons for NATO. I'd like to see them all hang. They're complicit in genocide. Media is the main tool in it now. They're doing that in Ukraine. They got caught red-handed. There's evidence. I hope they're prosecuted. Might be a few years. You might start seeing some stuff going up. Because Russia's winning. NATO's collapsing. They'll throw somebody under the bus. But the media does that. What else have they done? A few years ago, they were up to something else. You know, it was pretty big worldwide, weren't they? Still are.
This is disinformation. Go to the CDC website.
What's the matter, Billy? Don't you trust the government and the news media? Well, show some street scenes and sign out. This is long enough for this one. to get something in the pipe before I leave. If it's a nice day when I head out of here, I'm going to take the subway. I'm going to have my suitcase with me though. Going right past Red Square, I might pop up and do a video from there before I leave. If the weather's nice and there's not too many people or traffic noise or wind. Anyway, give it a try. Have a little more interesting background than this. I'm going to sit the other way so you can see street scenes, but the sun was wrong. Now it's behind a cloud. A lot of sportsters and hogs around here. And why wouldn't there be? They're fine machines. Or they used to be anyway. A lot of construction going on everywhere. Anyway, Uncle Billy signing out. Hope you got something from this. Even just thought experiments, thinking about things. What are the possibilities? We live in interesting times. Uncle Billy signing out.